That first reading from the prophet Isaiah in this time of pandemic feels to me like a warm, lavish, luxurious body massage. Listen again. Comfort, give comfort to my people, says your God. Every valley shall be filled in, the rough paths smoothed. The glory of God will be revealed, and all will see it. Here is your God, for he comes with power. If Isaiah were among us today, he might say something like this: Comfort, my people. Give me your anxieties and worries. A vaccine is now available, and it's 100% effective. Available to everyone. You're free to travel as you wish, to visit as you like. Schools are open, indoor dining is flourishing. All the armies have gone home. There is no more war. No more illness or anxiety. Welcome the era of peace and celebrate. All this goodness is yours, and it's for everyone everywhere, for our God rules and cares for us. Can we believe that with God all things are possible? Can we be still and accept this gift of our God today, knowing that in our guts we are cared for, loved, created by a caring God who wants us to be happy, to live in peace and harmony, that he loves us so much that he gives us his only Son. When I was younger and thought I knew everything, I sometimes believed that peace on earth was unreal, impossible. It was a fantasy, pie in the sky when you die. Recently, I was taken aback as I was reading Pope Francis's latest encyclical, Fratelli Tutti. In speaking of our current world situation, this is what Pope Francis says: recognizing that all people are our brothers and sisters, and seeking forms of social friendship that includes everyone, it's not merely utopian. It demands a decisive commitment to devising effective means to this end. Any effort along these lines becomes a noble exercise of charity. For, as we know, individuals can help one another, but when they join together and initiate a social process of fraternity and justice for all, they enter the field of charity at its most vast, namely political charity. Political charity. This entails working for social and political order, whose soul is social charity. Once more, Pope Francis says, I appeal to you for a renewed appreciation of politics as a lofty vocation and one of the highest forms of charity, inasmuch as it seeks the common good. Wow. When have you or I ever thought of politics as a lofty vocation? Advent is about longing and desire. What is it you most long for this Advent? Is it for peace? Is it for justice? Is it for love, harmony? What do you long for this Advent? For some of us, the reality in these very strange days of another surge is that we long to be able to go to the supermarket and not be anxious about being exposed to the virus. For others, we long to see and touch our grandchildren. For some, it's a longing to get back to school and work, to see colleagues. And sadly, for others, it's a longing for the touch and the presence of one lost during this terrible pandemic. Whatever it is you long for, we are united in our hope that this too will pass, that we will get through this, and hopefully we will arrive at a better place. In our first reading today, our God promised this, that we would arrive at a better place. And guess what? Our God keeps his promises. However, there is another side to this story, and we see that in today's gospel, where we meet John in the desert, baptizing his followers. Now, you need to know that John was a very popular, attractive celebrity in his day. He had a huge following, could be called a fan club. But John knew who he was and who he was not. John was humble enough to step aside and point to the Christ. He reminded them that while he baptized with water, the Christ would baptize with water and the Spirit. The ideal world, the peaceable kingdom that we heard of in that first reading from Isaiah, we long for ourselves and our families and our world. And John reminds us today that it will come when you and I, who have been baptized with water and the Spirit, say yes to that Spirit and step up like John did, showing others who the Christ is. And how is it that you and I will point to the Christ? How is it that we will bring about that peaceable kingdom that still remains a dream and a hope, a desire? Bringing about that kingdom depends on you and me. That's what we hear from John today. And how will we do this? We will do this by being the best you, the best I that we can be, the one that God created us to be. You who are mothers and dads will do it by being the best mothers and dads you can be, by being caring and loving, and sometimes saying no. You who are single will do it by being concerned for others as well as yourselves, and sometimes, like John, allowing someone else to have center stage. Young adults will do it by seeking meaningful work, being fair and honest in what they do, being kind, and sometimes taking risks for the good of others. Students will do it by being the best students they can be, by studying as they are able, and maybe even reaching out to another student who is not included or cool like the in-group. We will all point to Christ and point others to Christ and bring about this kingdom that Isaiah speaks of by being concerned about God's creation and reaching out to those most in need, those who are poor and homeless and lonely, orphaned and imprisoned. The really good news is that we don't have to do this alone, nor should we. For wherever individuals can help others in need when they join together in initiating social processes of fraternity and justice for all, they enter into the field of charity at its most vast, namely political charity. That is what we prepare, and that is how we prepare for the coming of the Christ this Christmas, by joining others. In that way, we will lower those hills and fill those valleys. We will ready ourselves and our world for the arrival of Christ in this day, this Advent, and this Christmas. Not an easy challenge. And that is why we gather. That is why we gather and we approach this table where we are fed by the bread and blood of Jesus Christ, that allows us and enables us and gives us the courage and the strength to reach out, to step aside like John and point others to the Christ. And then we will all see the peaceable kingdom.